All right, on this episode of the John 1911 podcast, we do something a little bit different. Freeze and I were out at the range doing some major range maintenance, and figured why not turn on the phone and record a podcast while driving back. It's a little bit more free form than we usually do, which is saying something, but hopefully you enjoy it. Catch you next time. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Actually, good evening. I don't know what episode of the John 1911 podcast this is.
I think it's 141, maybe.
Now, you know what? We shall annotate it for the listener when we get back into the armory. Freeze and I are literally pulling off the range right now in the truck, and we are blown the fuck out. I mean, I'm not even going to beat that shit because we had to fix the pistol pit today.
Oh man, we drug
16 railroad ties
around, and I don't know, we moved a couple tons of gravel by hand with a shovel.
I'd say, I don't know, it depends on how many tons. There's an argument as to how much the pile of gravel we have in the pit weighs, and so, you know, we probably moved, conservatively, we moved at least, at least a ton. Probably maybe 2 tons. No, maybe 3,000 pounds.
Well,
a ton's 2,000,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. 3,000 pounds of gravel at least. But, you know, it needed to be done. It's one of those jobs that no one wants to do, but yeah, you have to do.
Well, because when we built the, so for the listener at home, not that anybody cares about any of this, but if you were going to build your own pistol pit or rifle pit, a pit, and you have a berm, you should put at the bottom of that berm a small retaining wall.
Yes.
Because if you do not, your gravel will be covered with mud from the good Lord showering on your ass. And it's been...
Yeah, the erosion's been horrible. But,
you know,
hopefully we have that problem resolved. We may have to tweak it a little bit here and there, but yeah. I think it's good.
Because, you know, most of the pit is fine gravel-wise, but the most used part of a pistol pit is probably from 0 to 15 feet to the target, and that 0 to 15 feet is where the mud issue is.
Yeah, well, when we were working today, we got caught in a deluge.
That was a pop-up thunderstorm. It was heavy.
It came down in buckets. I'm still wet.
Yeah, it's 6:30, and when the time did it rain? Was it about 12?
No, it was like 2:30.
Okay.
But you know, and the thing is, just the little bit of mud, from the rain we had, it was like the mud that was covering the gravel was dry. And then, you know, we get this rain that lasted, half an hour maybe?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
Half an hour, it turned everything into mud. And next thing you know, our boots are just coated with
mud.
Yeah.
We just worked in it because just got to get it done, so.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all. It was mostly work today. I didn't shoot at all.
No, we didn't shoot at all, which, is that always sucks. But today wasn't. It wasn't about shooting guns and having fun. It was about busting our ass and getting the job done so we can shoot guns and have fun tomorrow. Yeah,
because we need to get the range set up so even when it's soaking wet or there's a storm or it's snowing, we can just roll in and shoot in that pit and there's no mud issues. So,
yes.
But I did say this earlier, and you can attest to it. I have a little bit more respect. Not that I had disrespect, but for where I used to work, and they have this big range facility, and, I have a little bit more respect for my old boss and what they went through to build all that and to maintain it. And, and you get a kind of like a little bit of I would call it an attitude.
Well,
just like,
yeah, you go out to the facility and it's an established facility, and you go you don't even really pay any attention to it.
Yeah.
But when you have to start from scratch, like we've done, you really do get a good appreciation on how they got there. You know?
Even just like basic target stands and gravel and paths and walking paths and driveways and impact zones and, you know, a shelter to get out of the sun. You know, it's like, well, not that people want to hear all this stuff, so they've heard it all before. Anyone that there'll be photographs on the website of kind of the last thing we did today. But your dad had a really interesting, great-grandpa Freeze had a really interesting contribution. He had these old-fashioned railroad company railroad tie tongs or something.
Yeah, they're a big set of two-man tongs that the railroad uses to drag ties around, and he has them because back in his old farm days when he ran cows and fence, he'd use them to drag fence posts around, you know, locust, you know, wooden fence posts.
Okay.
And you know, and it was just like, you know, we need to get those because we have a stack of 10-foot long railroad ties out there that I really don't want to have to muscle around.
I'll tell you what, I was a little, you know, I was like, okay, you have the tongs, we'll use the tongs since you're going to help today. But it was just like, since, you know, I was just going to muscle them myself, but having those tongs and two people, it was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it, I mean, it's like moving a railroad tie with these tongs is nothing.
No. I mean, it sucked because we were moving them in mud.
In torrential rain.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it was pouring rain and we're dragging this shit around to stop the mud. It's like, well, whatever.
You know.
But those tongs are neat. I took some pictures of them. I bet you those could be, how old do you think those are?
I have no clue. I mean,
you think they're pre-World War II?
Probably not.
Okay.
I don't think they're pre-World War II, but I mean, I always remember them being around.
Oh, yeah, so they're,
you know,
50 years old at least.
So, yeah, I'd say they're every bit of 50 years old.
Yeah. It's just kind of neat to look at old tools and see how they're made and the quality compared to, like, you know, stuff that comes from China now.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
I mean, I would be half afraid the Chinese railroad tong would snap in my hands and you know, cut us to half to death. So,
yeah, no, you know, it made the job a heck of a lot easier. And I assume you'll post pictures of it later on, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that'll be its own. Cool tools get their own post, even on shooting guns and having fun. I apologize for the noise for the listener. We're at a rumble strip at a very bad hill, and so it rattles the truck. But so okay, let's talk about this real quick because you promised me before we recorded, since I'm so destroyed, you would keep the conversation going, and you're not.
No, you know. So let's talk about the newest armory acquirement. I guess I don't know.
I'm not going to edit that out either. So
that's fine. I'm toast.
I'd be a college graduate. We have you know, I'll do a video on it, but we have this. Basically, I call it an M16A4, the military collector gun. How long have we had that?
Oh, God. At least 2 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, every bit of 2 years.
Dude, we got that for like $900.
Yeah, it was a steal. Anyway, basically, it's an FN. It's actually, I guess it's an FN, AR-15A4?
Yeah, they call it the M16A4, and it's called the Military Collector Series gun.
It's
factory Knights Armament rail, 20-inch barrel. It's the Marine Corps
It's
rifle.
Basically the Marine Corps M6. Well, it's not an M16, but it's basically identical to the Marine Corps M16. You know, it's got the Knight Armament rails on it.
Long target bullshit stock.
Yeah, it's. I mean, but it's a gorgeous weapon.
Yeah. I
mean, you know, and not that it's all that exciting per se, but it's just kind of unusual. It's unique.
It's a neat gun.
You know, anyone that humped one around would appreciate it. So, you know, I mean, we've got all the accessories. We've got a bayonet for it, you know, and all that crap.
We've never even fired it.
And no, it's unfired.
It's been sitting in the armory.
So
what happened was, should I say? I guess
let's just say it traded into our possession.
Yeah, I'm gonna be oblique to protect just in case. So what happened was we deal with multiple SWAT teams, and there's a SWAT team around that they have 50 BM Barrett guns that they use for, like vehicle interdiction and that kind of stuff. So they were looking for a scope for their Barrett, and it just so happened that we had a U.S. Optic scope that we weren't using in the armory because I didn't like the eye relief. It's been sitting for years. It's probably a 12, 14-year-old scope.
Yeah, it's an older one,
but you know what?
It's nice.
It's a heavy-duty scope. It should take a Barrett real well, and they're not like they're going to shoot it like crazy far anyway. So they can keep. It's a 25. It was a 25 power optic. So we did some wheeling and dealing. I wasn't initially interested in. They had a what do you call those things? The ACOG. What do you call it? The 4-power Marine Corps. The ACOG. The Trijicon ACOG.
Yeah.
So the fixed 4-power red dot, and I'm not the shit on the Marine Corps or the Army, because the Army used them too, but that fixed 4-power optic, it's great for shooting across the course. Camp Perry, but for
room clearing,
my God,
not so much.
You're basically, in my opinion, you're basically blind. So it's let's make it. Let me get to this intersection here. It's like a little crazy here.
It's a wine festival.
That's why there's all these hippies down here.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what am I going to do with that? Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. We have that A4.
When you were texting me about it, and I made 2 comments. I said, well, one, you're going to start making all the ACOG fanboys like you all of a sudden, because I'm not a big fan of the ACOG myself. But anyway, and I said, stick it on the A4 and call it done, because now it's a complete rifle.
It is. To my thinking, why would you buy a FN military collector gun today? Well, I honestly believe in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, they're going to look back. And here's the thing. People, they kind of, 30 years. Dude, 9/11 was almost 20 years ago. Like,
well,
okay.
But I look at it like this. In 1960, no one wanted M1 Garands.
No.
Now, everyone loves them, and they're high dollar. Look, first off,
the A4 with the Trijicon optic, the ACOG, is the quintessential global war on terror gun.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, you know what? I got one, I got the other, peanut butter jelly. I would never buy that ACOG for what it's worth on the used market, and I definitely wouldn't buy what it's worth full retail. I would never buy that. No. That thing costs more. That thing costs as much as the FN military collector gun retail. Like, they're $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. Mm-hmm. It's like, I wouldn't fucking buy that.
No, I wouldn't pay that kind of money. That's crazy.
Not
money.
because but it's like, well, you know what? We got this product. It's not using it. It's just gathering dust. So it was like, well, throw in another red dot, and because we're not going to do a straight trade for U.S. Optics for the ACOG.
Yeah, no.
But we need always have for some real red dots, and an 8-point came along with it, and I was like,
okay, now the pot's sweetening up. Actually, to be honest with you, I think technically they got the better end of the deal. They probably did, because they didn't pay full retail for this stuff either, because it's government type stuff. But here's the thing, because they kept asking, well, are you happy with this? Does this work out for you? I go, yeah, this is enough for me. I don't need to add. There was another thing that was thrown in, like on the table, and I was like, no, I don't need that, because I would never use it. I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't ask for it, but I'm totally like, I know that they're like, are you sure you're okay? And I'm like, yep, because but that U.S. Optic's been sitting on a shelf in the armory for 4 or 5 years at least.
Let me tell you something. that scope, I got a deal on an Ed Brown pistol that I only had like $1,500 in.
Yeah.
And I traded it for that.
Oh, we were doing T-shirts back then.
Oh yeah.
So
and I traded for that. That was like a $3,000 Optic.
Yeah.
You know, it's not $3,000 today, but it's like,
yeah, but at the time,
you know, but I only had $1,500 into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so okay, it's like, look, the Trigicon's right in front of me. It's an aim point red dot that comes with it, which is fine. It'll last forever, and it's actually, there's other reasons that, because it's unique as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's right here, and I have the, you know, I would never have taken the ACOG. I have to keep the term straight. I never would have taken the ACOG
no.
if we didn't have that A4.
Yeah, no, I
rifle.
Totally agree. Because I mean, honestly, it's not an optic that either one of us would really care for or use. But again, you know, like I said, when we were texting, I'm like, you know, hey, get it, throw it on the A4, call it a done deal. Mm-hmm. Bam! Now all of a sudden, you know, we added into our MilServ category. You know,
it's a MilServ gun.
You've got your World War I, II, Vietnam, blah blah. You know, and all of a sudden now we got our global war on terror.
Yeah, my argument, and this is the example I gave to you. I said my argument for this A4 with this Trigicon, because what I was going to do was like, someday I'll put a scope on top of the A4 just to maybe accuracy test it or something. But it was like, I've got a scope, but it was like, well, it's no different than the Swede sniper that we've got. The 90 was it? What's the sniper? I'm trying to remember.
It's a mod M41.
M41B.
B, yes.
And you know, it's like, it's not a great sniper rifle. It's a cool gun. It's interesting caliber from the time period. Like, you wouldn't want to fucking do anything with it. I mean, just take it to the range and shoot it at 300-400 yards.
Yeah, but
well, guess what? An A4 M16 with a 4-power fixed optic, you just want to take it to the fucking range and shoot it at 100 to 600 yards.
Yeah.
I'm not going to room clear. It's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I would assume that reticle was zeroed for, because it's got a ballistic reticle in it. I think it's probably 62 grain ammo, so, you know, we'll have to test it.
Yeah, well, we'll play with it.
But you got to hold it and fiddle with it here at the range.
Yeah,
today.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I like it. I can't wait to shoot it.
That gun's going to be a pussycat.
Oh, man, that thing, I mean, look, I wouldn't want to hump that thing around.
Well, I mean, it has the same gas system as the SP1 gas, you know, but it's about, 5 pounds heavier?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, you're holding SP1, cold SP1 next to a FN A4.
And it's like, wow.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, it is. But no, I'm looking forward to shooting it. That should be a fun gun to shoot.
But we brought a bunch of guns to the range, and we didn't shoot any of because we had to adult things today. We had to be adults.
Look, so I wanted to shoot my new Glock 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard that right. Yeah, so I think I talked about it in the last podcast, but I did actually, take possession of it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people were like, "What? Freeze getting a Glock?" Oh
yeah, I know, but look, I couldn't. Man, the price was so good on it. I just really couldn't pass it up. I didn't want it, and honestly, right now, and I told you this last night when we were talking, I believe. From just dry firing it and holding it, and twirling it in my finger like a pistolero and shit. Man, I don't see myself liking this gun too much.
The grip is too short.
The grip's way too short. It's as wide as my freaking, it's wide.
It's wide. But all those Glock 21s is wide too. But you know what? For the Glock fanboys out there, let me tell you something that happened today. So I showed up at Freeze's house and we're discussing this Glock. He's showing it to me. And he's like, look how wide that is. And I go, yep, that's just as wide as the regular full-size 21. And you asked a question, and I'm literally going, do it. You go, will that slide fit on a full-size Glock 21? I said no, because the dust cover. But if you want to get a Dremel tool out and like make this shit work, dude, I'm like, do it. Do it.
Oh, man.
Do it. Match the same gen. Let's look at it. See if we can't. Because you got the recoil system.
Yeah.
Just cut it back. I have to look at it. I wonder if I don't think the locking block is in a different place. Maybe it is.
I don't know.
But because people used to always like.
Hey, look! Don't get me wrong. I will not think twice about cutting up a Glock.
You know what? We have 2 Glock 21s in the armory, and one of them is a Gen 3. I don't know what gen your Glock is.
I have no clue. I'll be honest with you. This is the only Glock I've ever owned. It's the first one I've owned.
I think it might be a Gen 2, but I'm not certain.
But let me tell you this: it is so freaking clean. I bet it hasn't had 50 rounds through it. I mean, this thing looks. I know it's not unfired because the guy I picked it up from told me he fired it. But man, I'm telling you, this thing. Man, it looks unfired.
Well, I actually thought it was unfired. Then I broke it down and went to see if it has that telltale lithium whatever grease that they put in from the factory, and it was not in there. So somebody had to clean it. And I'm like, this gun's been fired, but it doesn't look like it.
No, it's immaculate. So I'm going to go home and
it's probably not a fun gun to shoot.
I'm probably going to slide it across the concrete floor just to put scratches in it.
Look, if you're not going to keep it, dude, just keep it for trade bait.
I don't know. In all fairness, I want to actually shoot it before I make a decision on what I do with it. But realistically, I'll probably just use it as trade bait and do something with it. But I want to shoot it.
Wait. How much do you have in it? 3 something? 3 low 3s?
3 1/4 maybe.
Maybe you could trade into a high-end red dot.
Why?
Because you refuse to spend the money on a red dot.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But it'd be getting someone to want to trade you for it, though.
Yeah.
I don't think the Glock 30... Is it a 30?
It's a Glock 30.
Yeah, I don't think the Glock 30 is like a super desirable gun.
The slim model.
Yeah, still. SF's still fat.
Dude, it's like, really? How can they even advertise that without laughing?
They did, dude. I remember that came out and it was like, oh, the SF, and they made a big old hootenanny about it.
That thing's...
And the joke was, yeah, the Glock 21 SF still fat. And it was
that's
I think they shaved a millimeter or 2 off of it or something.
Dude, it's like, really, it's like, well, borderline false advertising.
Yeah.
You know.
Like them double stack 45 magazines.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just like Magnum condoms. Yep.
Is it Magnum for you or Magnum for her? Oh, wait, never mind. Okay. Yeah. So, you know what? I tell you what, just because you're Bob Vila, I'm actually legit curious if we could modify.
Make that Glock 30 frame fit on a Glock 21 or Glock 30 slide.
Yeah, because it's like the quintessential the dream Glock.
This is my favorite 3-way stop in the country. Right.
Yep.
Here.
Complete stops are free. Rolling stops are $164.50.
Your choice.
Your choice. And everybody comes to a complete
stop. No one rolls through this intersection.
And occasionally, if you do roll through it, you go, "Oh my God!" You're looking around because you're like, "They're going to be here."
Yep.
So, but yeah, I think a full-size grip and a short slide 21 is probably just as appealing as the Glock 45, which would cause confusion in this conversation. The Glock 45 is the 19 slide and the 17 frame. Yeah. That's what which really, Glock's nomenclature is just totally screwed up.
So, I may entertain that, but let me play with your.
We just got the micrometers. All you really have to do is we have to measure the locking block and some of all the other stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And then measure the frame or the dust cover.
Before we get into that bull crap, let me play with your new grip project first.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right. You have those in.
Yeah, you got the grip panels in for the VP9, so let me...
Was it pumice? What's the product the dude was using, or like a medium for?
It's a polishing medium for like tumblers that you use for like polishing rocks or shit like that. So,
okay.
So,
yeah, I
and
forgot
then he said he uses JB Weld, and the people listening are going like, what the hell are you guys even talking about? But
stay tuned.
Stay tuned, exactly. I personally don't think it's going to turn out well, but we'll see.
It's not your hands that'll be Swiss cheese. You'll be the one sitting there going, I warned you.
Yep.
I warned you.
Well, you know what? You asked, I produced.
Yeah, so.
And, so, whatever.
Let's see.
It'll be an interesting project nonetheless.
What else is going on?
Well, in a blind panic, I ordered a lower parts kit for the X39 build.
Because of the shootings?
Well, here's the thing. I haven't decided on what controls and what trigger I want to put in it. But, I bought just a standard mil-spec lower parts kit, which really I have all the parts except for the trigger and the control,
Yeah.
But but I bought it anyway because if they start passing any type of, gun ban legislation.
Have you seen any prices move or availability of things this dry up?
At this point, no, I haven't.
Okay.
But I don't want to be behind the curve and all of a sudden, oh shit, either, I can't get these parts or now the prices are doubled. So if that happens, at least I have a lower parts kit and I can complete the freaking rifle. It may not be completed to the way I want it or like it, but at least it will be a complete functional firearm.
So there was talk about red flag laws.
There's like 10 stacks.
Are those railroad ties?
Yeah, right there.
Was that?
No, they were railroad ties.
Okay. We just drove by the railroad tie supply place. Did you see? So they're talking about doing red flag laws, which is like, okay, why don't we just manually adjudicate crazy people? But then you saw what's this guy's name? Andrew Cuomo. What's the guy? His father was Mario Cuomo. I remember him.
Yeah.
What's the guy on CNN? Cuomo. What's his first name?
Jake. Is it Jake?
I don't know. Apparently it's Fredo. So
yes. Don't call me Fredo.
So Trump had come. Trump. I mean, look. I'm just. Let's be honest. You catch Trump. He's so loquacious. Oh yeah, silencers. I don't know why we have those silencers. Oh yeah, red flag laws. We need to fucking do something about that. And he just vomits shit out. But I don't think it's really a policy position. But he took Cuomo having a meltdown over Fredo on Twitter and said, man, this guy's crazy. We should be red flagged. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
And like literally all these pro-gun groups who are freaking out over Trump are suddenly like, is Donald Trump a genius? Is Donald Trump did he just cut the knees off of the red flag movement? And it's like, you notice you haven't heard shit about it. Now it's like, boom. Because, I haven't seen the video of Fredo having a meltdown.
I saw the video.
Was it that bad?
He threatened to throw some guy down a flight of stairs and shit. Look, I guess it was bad because of who he is, and he should have controlled himself better. But, if I was in his shoes, the video would have looked a lot worse.
Well, look, I'm not for shitting all these, because I see a fair amount of these people in public. I've seen Rambo. I've seen all these people. You see a lot of them, especially when you go through some of these airports.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just curious. I would be very curious to go back and see all the coverage that Fredo did over the Red Hen restaurant and some of these other situations when these liberals were accosting people in restaurants. Mm-hmm. Because that's wrong. And here's the thing. Accosting this Fredo, Cuomo, out in public, he's with his wife and his kids or whatever. That's wrong too.
Yeah, but you know what though? You can't sit there and talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, no, let me put it to you in a phrase to go into what you and I talked about today. You can't release the Thunderdome on the Republicans and then cry foul when the other side wants to do it to you.
Exactly.
Once you give the public Thunderdome, you are stuck with the Thunderdome, bitches.
Yep.
And that's what it is.
Yep.
You know?
Spin the wheel, or break a deal, spin the wheel. That's right.
Or break a deal and face the wheel.
Yes.
Yeah, so Tina Turner's going to show up with her crazy ass hair. And, I mean, it's like, you know, it's like these fucking people. Speaking of which, did you hear this? I don't know if it got a lot of coverage. I don't know exactly the extent that Rand Paul was injured. Remember, he was beat up. I think they took out part of his lung.
They had to have part of his lung removed.
They're fucking dropping that shit.
Yeah, they are.
Fuck. Yeah.
Oh, but the guy's attorney says it has nothing to do with politics. It was a dispute over grass clippings or some bullshit like that. And it's like, you know what, dude? Just go away. Don't even try to exonerate it. It was about politics. Everyone knows it.
Yeah, and the guy's like, it was these people were.
And
I mean, it's scary. I mean, look, am I personally afraid for myself? No, because you mess with the boy, you get the horns. I don't, again, I guess I'm gonna be red flag,
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm not gonna have any of these problems. Like, even just to be fair, I give money to Donald Trump, but like, I was traveling, you went to the Trump rally. Because your wife was like, we're going to the Trump rally, and you're like, well, I guess I'm going to the Trump rally.
Yeah.
But I happen to know, because you're the same way I am, I support Donald Trump, especially now that I've gotten to know how he operates. But it's like, I would probably never go to a rally like that, because that's just asking for trouble. I don't need to go to a rally and risk being fucking anthraxed or beat up by somebody. You know what I mean? I don't need to do that. I'm glad people do.
I didn't want to go to the rally because I didn't want to deal with the crowds. I know what they're like, and it's like I didn't want to get there and wait around. I think at one point I texted you, it's like this, something along the lines of, this is boring as shit,
Yeah. Well, didn't this Secret Service take your lighter?
Yeah, Secret Service stole my goddamn lighter.
They stole your lighter.
They stole my lighter.
You shouldn't show, you know what, ever since Richard Reed tried to light the wick on his shoe on the Delta airplane over to Detroit, I guess there's no lighters now.
Well, I shouldn't have even taken it out of, but, I wonder, on my phone, hold on, that's my, my screensaver.
Oh, yeah.
Background. Cool. Okay. So when the Secret Service is going through all my shit, they lit my phone up. I wonder what the guy thought about that.
Probably thought you were a Trump voter. There's on Freeze's home screen on his phone is a picture of an AR-15. Did they actually look at your phone? They wake it up to make sure it's a phone?
They woke it up to make sure it was a real phone.
Because I have not had to go through Secret Service clearance in probably over a decade.
And of course, I'm like, hey, what gives you the right to look at my phone? No, I didn't.
You're like,
because it would have been.
What you were hoping is he's like, what's this? And you're like, oh, that's my Anderson whatever, this bolt carrier and whatever. And you were like, hey, can we nerd out and talk about guns?
No, so anyway, so we get to the rally. And honestly, it wasn't really too bad. It took us about 45 minutes to get in. We were there, of course, like 3 hours early,
Yeah. Because apparently it's festival. Oh, that's right. I asked you this. So it was, what, U.S. Bank Arena?
U.S. Bank Arena.
Now, and I asked you, is that the same place where the Who concert and a bunch of people got trampled to death?
Yes.
But it was called something else.
It was called the Riverfront Coliseum.
Riverfront Coliseum.
I was at that concert, by the way.
I know, and that's why I asked you. And how old were you when you were at that concert? 13?
14, I think.
14. You were 14 years old going to a Who concert, probably on a school night.
Actually, it was a school night. Yes, it was.
See, today, your parents would be in jail. You let your kid go to a whatever? The Who concert.
You supplied him with pot and alcohol? No. It was the 70s. No. Hey, but look, so...
No one had stranger danger in the 70s. Do you know what really changed all that? Do you remember there was a case There was a kidnapping of a child in New York. And the child, I think, was murdered. And it was a completely random, like, because kids could go off, walk to school, do whatever. Mm-hmm. And this happened, I think, in the early 80s. And that's when it all changed. People started worrying about, like, there's like, child predators out there. Yeah, like, you never really heard about child predators till about the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that particular...
Wait, what's the guy who... He does the TV show... He does the Adam Walsh.
The Walsh guy who does the...
His child was another one.
Yeah.
That like, it was like crazy. Like, they were at a mall. Like, maybe he was with his wife or his wife, and maybe, like, the wife, like, just turned her back for, like, 1 second and, like, snatched his kid, and, like, the kid was killed within, like, 30 minutes or something. But, like, he made a whole career out of, like, advocating. When did that happen? That wasn't in the night. I mean,
no, I think that was definitely in the 80s.
That was in the probably early to mid 80s.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, see, when you and I were young, like, I mean, we just basically it was be home at dark.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, or be home for dinner.
Oh man, I tell you what, I can't tell you. I mean,
you could be miles from home, riding your bike, doing whatever in the woods. In town.
Me and my buddies, we'd jump on a bus, go downtown, walk down to the stadium, buy a ticket to the Reds game. Of course, that's when you could afford to go to ball games.
I think Cincinnati, you probably still can. I don't think they're expensive, are they?
But I mean, you buy a ticket back then for $6 or $7.
Okay.
I mean, you can't buy them for that now. But I do believe Cincinnati has one of the most affordable stadiums.
Yeah.
But I mean, we just, we're going down to see a Reds game, just jump on a bus, go downtown, do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, things were different back then.
A lot different.
Didn't worry about a lot of, I mean, I don't know, maybe people did. I was a child, what did I know?
Yeah. So anyway, we're down there, and, there was maybe 100 or so protesters around, which kind of disappointed me. I thought there would be a much heavier turnout of protesters.
You were looking for this. You were hoping to have your big audition for, like, American Ninja Warrior. You were hoping the what do they call that when those guys show up, and what do they call that when the guys show up in, like, the fake armor and, like, the clubs?
Oh, the Renaissance.
LARPing. LARPing or something?
LARPing, live action role play.
I did not know that's what LARPing meant. Yeah. Live action
role play.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, the term LARPing showed up, like these LARPers, and they're beating each other up. Like, that term popped up, and I'm like, it reminded me of, like, neocon. Like, all of a sudden, like, everybody was a fucking neocon. I'm like, I've been a Republican for fucking 20 years. I never heard this phrase. All of a sudden, we're all neocons? Like, where did this come from? But I guess live act LARPing. So the listener and I, we have all learned something new today. So apparently Dungeons and Dragons is real.
Yes, it is.
So
anyway, it took us about 45 minutes to get in. The lines weren't too super bad. But when we got there, Junior was talking, and
I saw him at the NRA show.
And he talked for about 20 minutes, and that was fine. And then everything died, and no one came out for like 3 hours, and it was just like, oh my god!
Was it 3 hours?
It was like 3 hours. No one came out. No one said anything, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I'm so ready to go home. And whoever was in charge of the music obviously was a Rolling Stones and an Elton John fan, because Elton John, Rolling Stones, insert random song, Rolling Stones, Elton John, insert random song, maybe do a Queen song, Rolling Stones, Elton John, and it went like that for 3 hours.
And what I had to explain to Freeze when he told me that is, you have to understand, it's not like some guy like, let me play the music that's on my iPhone. It's a public venue. They have to pay for royalties through BMI or ASCAP. And it's big money. So whatever music they bought, that's what you get. And they use it as much as they can, because they're not going to dial it in for a bunch of different groups. So when Trump finally showed up, we're looking at 2020, we're talking about Joe Biden, you know, and they're talking about, you know, these people screwing up and, like, you know, they've lost a step. When Donald Trump showed up and he walked out, was he the same Donald Trump? Like, was he, like, winging it and, like, running it? And,
yeah, it was the same as you see it when you watch him on TV. He was winging it. A couple protesters got in, and he, you know, and he was, you know, doing his thing.
It's like, punch him in the ball sack.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, it was a good time. You know, Jackass DeWine came out and talked. I knew. I booed him, actually. I did. I booed.
I knew when they fucking, the goddamn Republican Party put him up after John Kasich, and I was like, you fuckers. Another one of these goddamn Jeb Bush fucking bullshit rhino guys.
So I booed him. Then Mike Pence came out and talked. That was okay, you know.
You know what? There's probably... Look, let me tell you something about Mike Pence. Look, I have immense respect for Mike Pence, and my respect for him grows every day. And, like, here's an example. So remember when they were making fun of... literally, everybody made fun of this. It came out like Mike Pence will not go out to dinner with a woman unaccompanied unless, like, there's someone like if he has to have a business meeting when he was governor, like, and it's like, hey, we're going to have a dinner meeting, you know, outside the Capitol. We're going to go to the barbecue shit place across the street, and it would be like a woman. He would request that either his wife or somebody else, or there be an escort, because he did not want to be sitting across the table from some woman who was not his wife. And the media made Saturday Night Live, everybody made fun of his ass. And then Me Too happened. And now you don't hear shit. You don't hear shit about fucking about him and that standard. And it's like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you don't see his ass out with fucking strange ass women. And it's like, yeah. Hey, well, let's go have dinner at the Beverly Hills Hotel, Miss Governor Pence. No. It's fucking, you know, and they never give him credit for that.
Yeah, well.
Never give him, and you know what? And here's the other thing. There's two sides to that as well. Think of all the women, like the idea of, like, the boys club and women being excluded because, you know, on the golf course or whatever, the smoking, the bankers club, and the men, the globalists smoking their cigars and talking about divvying up the world, but
wearing an eye monocle.
And you know, and the men dominate this. Yeah. But here's the thing. There's so much Me Tooing going on. Women are now saying they're not getting invited to go to things because they don't want to get guys are like, I don't know, offense, but I don't want to fucking wrapped into this fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Because there's people that, you know, it's interesting because this hasn't all shook out. And I just think about Mike Pence. And anyway, go ahead. So Mike Pence comes out. You didn't boo him.
No, so he does his thing, and it was I couldn't even tell you what he talked about, to be honest with you. You know, rah 2020. You know,
you look at Mike Pence. There's only one or two questions: is that his wife or not his wife? Other than that, I don't care.
Exactly. I mean, you know, and it's not that he didn't do a bad speech. It was just like, you know, okay, it was just your typical, you know, vote for me. You know.
Well, let's be honest. Mike Pence is no Sarah Palin.
That's true.
Yeah, on many levels.
Yeah, that's true too. You know, then Trump came out, and it was a good time. That's, you know, and it was like, okay, that's cool. You know, he did his thing.
How long did he talk? Is he capable of only talking for an hour?
No, shit, no. He talked for like 2.5 hours.
That's what I've heard. I've heard he just goes.
He just rambled on. You know, I think that's a dead puppy.
Oh. No dead puppies on the podcast.
So, no, you know, I mean, he went on for quite some time, you know, and, you know, and I can't say he said anything earth-shattering. It's just typical Trump speech, you know, and, you know, yay, Second Amendment, you know, Cincinnati's great.
This happened before the shootings, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, it was a decent time, and by the time, you know, we got home, at the end of the day, I was glad I went. But if it wasn't for, you know, my wife going, hey, I got tickets for the Trump, which, by the way, they didn't even check tickets at the door.
Yeah.
They didn't care. But I will tell you this, the U.S., and this is interesting, too, because the news vans were all set up around the protesters.
Of course.
And there was maybe 100 protesters there, and I'm being generous.
I don't even think the photographs you sent me, I saw maybe 10.
They were in 2 different locations.
Okay.
But like I said, maybe 100, and I'm being generous. So check this out. The lamestream media will sit there and talk about how, everyone hates Trump's guts, but the U.S. Bank Arena holds 17,000 people, and they had to close the doors because they were over capacity, and there were people that weren't able to get in. So you figure 18,000 people showed up, 100 protesters.
Do you remember when Hillary Clinton was running and they used to have to block off and cover empty seats?
Yes.
What the? Yes. Oh, there was one the other day.
Hillary Clinton is the modern day version of NASCAR.
Oh.
Let's tear down the back grandstands because we can't fill them.
Yeah. Well, what was it? I think Beto showed up in Iowa. I heard at some event, and I heard it was 18 people showed up or something.
Nice.
Yeah, Beto.
Yeah.
Beto. Oh, so, all right. So I guess we got to talk about gun politics. I don't think they're going to pass anything.
I don't think so either. But like I said, I took the jump and bought the lower parts kit just to cover my bases. And, look, here's the thing. Who doesn't need a lower parts kit? Well, I guess if you're never going to build an AR, that would be you.
If you were a super cool gun forum AR guy, you would just call it an LPK. Because nothing separates the gatekeeping of the cool guys like buzzwords and mnemonics and lingo. Because I'm in the know because I call it LPK. We run an armory in a range. I'm not cool. I can't stand them. I can't stand these guys. So, all right, I don't think they're going to pass anything.
Well,
if anything, they do a mental health thing.
Right now, I think what's up for grabs, they're calling it the assault weapons ban of 2019.
Yeah, but that won't happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. No.
It's like the Green New Deal. That would never happen. It was whatever. Oh, wait a minute. Greenland. Are we buying Greenland? What do you think about Greenland?
You know what?
This would be the political podcast. Because I love politics.
I think it would be awesome. I want to buy Greenland.
Dude, when he suggested that, I literally was like, do it. It was like the Glock 21 of special prop. Like, dude, buy Greenland. Thule Station. I love listening to all these talking heads not being able to pronounce the names of the bases.
Thule.
Yeah.
Thule.
Yeah. But it'd be awesome. Dude, think about I don't know what Greenland's like in the summer, but I imagine it's probably. I mean, it's not all ice, is it? It's probably Alaska. Right?
Well, I mean, the southern part of Greenland where everyone lives isn't all ice all the time.
Yeah.
The northern part of Greenland is pretty much ice all the fucking time.
Up there, fish and hunt and all the resources, and we can have bases up there and bring the Constitution and the Second Amendment and freedom, and we could bring
red flag laws.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So I was like, fucking, it's a great idea. I mean, what do you pay for it? I mean, if they want $10 trillion, you can't pay that. But you know what? I think we could pay. I'm not kidding. I think we could pay $1 trillion for that. I think it'd be worth it.
Let's see. I heard that we tried to buy Greenland in the past.
We offered to buy in the 40s, and they said no.
We offered. We offered to buy it in the late 1800s as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But in the 40s they weren't dead ass broke.
Well, what I was surprised about is Greenland. There's only 50,000 people that live there.
Well, that's because it's all ice, dude. And no one's allowed to buy property in Greenland.
you told me that.
So
it's like the federal zone of Mexico.
Yeah, so you can't go to Greenland and say, well, I want to buy 100 acres and, and raise sheep. What you have to do is get a permission. Now, they'll let you build a house and live on property. I don't know what hoops you have to jump through, but you will never own that property.
Yeah, Mexico has something similar. Like, so many miles from the coast, it's considered the federal zone, and so the mortgages are not real mortgages. They're these weird mortgages where it's like a land contract, and the government could basically take it from you at any time. Well, that's interesting. So if we were to buy Greenland, just hypothetically,
yeah.
So how much of it do you think we would make? Would we make it a military base, or would make it all like Area 51, or Groom Lake, or would we make like half the island, or half of whatever it is, like a state park, a national park, like, or how much would even be available to be private land? That'd be interesting.
I don't know. Greenland is huge, though.
I heard a report that it's 25% larger than Alaska. Now, Alaska's huge.
Yes.
I personally think Alaska's bigger than Texas. I bet you Alaska's bigger than Texas. Sorry, Texas.
I think Alaska is bigger than Texas.
There's some debate as to which one's bigger, but I think Alaska's bigger.
But I think doesn't Alaska get credit for being the largest state? I thought Texas got credit for being the second largest.
Look, I'm so old now. Things have changed. Like, it used to be that you had to say he, she, and whatever, and now it's all this crazy shit. And when I was a kid, Pluto was a fucking planet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they say now, but
yeah.
I think it would be great. I just thought that was so awesome. Trump, I just find him like, Trump is so interesting.
I don't think it's going to happen, but
you know what? Let it marinate for a while. Here's the thing: if the economy gets a little shitty, you never know. Denmark or whatever owns that, Netherlands, whoever owns it, they need some money. We could even pay them in like gold bricks from Fort Knox.
Yeah. Or we just, send them like a dead alien or something.
Or we could use leftist monetary policy. We like, okay, so you want $5 trillion? Well, call the Fed. Let's print up $5 trillion. Call it quantity QE7, and whatever. I mean,
So, okay, so let me ask you this.
And then we got it because we're at 52 minutes, and we gotta.
So, do you really think that they found a painting of Bill Clinton wearing a blue Monica Lewinsky dress in Epstein's house?
You know what? I can't believe it went this long. I love the Epstein story. I literally read the charging documents on that before he died. Yes, I believe that Epstein is a freak, and he had that fucker painted and put up. Epstein. The most amazing thing about Epstein, why I find it so interesting, is, I can't go into too much, but I am a recognized court expert on sex trafficking inside the United States, and I have known a lot of crazy sons of bitches, but I never heard of Jeffrey Epstein until Hillary Clinton was running for president. Never heard of him. He never crossed. Never heard of this guy, and I'm so amazed I never heard of him that I'm kind of interested in it because I'm like, damn, I should have heard of this motherfucker. But I think I saw a photograph of it. I believe
I did. True. I saw a picture of it online, and I'm like, that almost looks like something you would see on Saturday Night Live,
Well, you know what? I think he was running a blackmail operation, and I think it's everything with him is power and control and fucking with people, and I think he had shit on Clinton, on Bill, which wasn't hard to do. But again, Bill Clinton, it's like, hey, like if I told you, breaking tomorrow, CNN's gonna report that Donald Trump had sex with another Playboy bunny. Oh my God, I'm so shocked. It's like, hey, breaking news, gonna report that Bill Clinton had sex with some flight attendant or something at the whatever. It's like, it's like Bill Clinton. It's like, okay, it's not great for Hillary, not great, but it's kind of baked into the cake.
Mm-hmm.
The real people that are vulnerable to this kind of stuff are the guys that are, they're in the C-suite of some bank or some financial institution that's on the stock exchange, and they have to file SEC filings every time they make a buy or a sell on their personal assets. And they're married, and they've got kids, and they've got an image that they're living up to, but nobody even would suspect that they're involved in this Epstein shit. And that's the dude that would kill a motherfucker. Because he's got everything to lose.
Yeah.
And the company has everything to lose. I mean, not that I buy into the conspiracy theory, but what? Bill Clinton did not. The only reason people think the Clintons were involved in Epstein's death, because that's the only name they know.
Yeah, no. Do I think the Clintons were involved in it? No. But look, I'm telling you what. Again, I've said this before in the past. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but at what point, how many bodies have to pile up around the Clintons before you look at it and go, damn, man, maybe there is some grain of truth here,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Clintons used to be powerful. They were maybe powerful in Arkansas and powerful with like these, as Carville would say, and I hate to say it, but James Carville would say, trailer park trash girls, which is fine. But if you think, especially after what happened in 2016 and what happened when Hillary got her ass handed by Barack Obama, the Clintons in New York have no power. They have no real power. Real power, people that have money, people that have juice and jack and pool. No. They're not, the Clintons aren't the ones. They're not the ones to worry about. They're not the ones that are really getting away. I mean, obviously, look at Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, this Jeffrey Epstein guy, all this shit was going on up and down the East Coast. I never heard of this guy, but you know what? There were a lot of people up and down the East Coast in some of these places. They all knew about Jeffrey Epstein. Just like this Harvey Weinstein guy. All these women out in Hollywood knew about Harvey Weinstein. Famous women. They all knew. I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and it's... Harvey Weinstein's a name that most people would never have no idea who that dude fucking was.
Yeah.
Because it's not the politician who, that's, on the Inquirer. The real power, not that this sounds like a conspiracy theory in itself, but it's the wealthy guy or girl, but the wealthy person who isn't in the media, who has enough money that basically intentionally lives in the media. And and here's the point. There's people at home, they don't understand this concept, and I want to remind them of it. So if you watch Hollywood or you watch movies or like the Clintons or these actors in Hollywood, and if you see them on television, you see whatever, what's interesting, nobody ever asked this question. Think of like a superstar Hollywood person, whether it's a singer or an actor or actress or whatever, and they you never see them. Like, you never see them like in the tabloids, and you never see them in the news or the trades or whatever. And they're super megastars. It's because they don't go to the 8 places where where the paparazzi hang out. They intentionally live these private lives. I mean, you can be wealthy and famous and not be public.
Yes.
It's not that hard.
No.
These people that are like always like the Kardashians, this is an extreme example of the other side to prove a point. It's not like magically the Kardashians like, oh my God, the paparazzi show up at McDonald's, or oh my God, the paparazzi show up at the fucking mall where they're buying their bloomers. Well, it's because their mama's telling the paparazzi where they're fucking at.
Yeah.
And it's like the real power people that have juice, that make decisions, that can do things if they're smart, they're not in the fucking news.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they don't want to be in the news.
They don't want to be in the news.
They want to be able to go
Jeffrey
out
Epstein
and
did not want to be in
dinner.
Jeffrey Epstein did not want to be in the news. Jeffrey Epstein wanted to travel around and not,
Well, look, here's the thing. When when your name pops up in the news and you become, we'll just say, popular, then people start digging into your background because people want to know about you. Mm-hmm. And when people start digging in your background, well, you become Jeffrey Epstein. And
well, here's a story
because everyone's got dirt.
Oh, sure. But here's the thing. Like, here's a Jeffrey Epstein story that I heard. I'd read it, and it was it happened when they were still bringing up the charges with the stuff in Palm Beach. Like, they were investigating him, but it was getting out. Like, enough people were being asked questions, and there were enough rumors anyway about this guy that it was like the whole town knew. Well, he had landed in Palm Beach Airport on his little private plane, and they saw a news helicopter, like, over in the distance, like, looking at him. And so he got back on the plane. They called the news station and said, "Get your fucking helicopter out of here." That's who Jeffrey Epstein is. They're not the Kardashians. They do not want to be in the tabloids. They don't want to be famous.
Yeah.
I have a theory, and I've always, you can be one of two things in life. You can be famous or you can be rich. And I think being rich is much better than being famous.
Oh, but you'd be surprised how many people would pick famous over rich.
Yes, because they're inexperienced. And and that's a lot of people when they read the news, they have to go with, it was interesting, like, oh, the Clintons got to Epstein. No, he didn't. They didn't. They had nothing to do with that. I mean, they did, but not like that, because it's the only name you know.
Yeah.
Because you don't move. Well, but that's not an insult to the listener at home, because unless you're running around the Hamptons, or unless you're in the white slave trade up and down the East Coast, you should not know who Jeffrey Epstein was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, you're right.
And that wraps up this episode of the John 1911 podcast.
Awesome.
Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.